Hello student, today we are going to study NCERT class 9 Political Science chapter 1 What is democracy? This is the fifth part of this video. In the previous video what we have learned, what is democracy, why is democracy, what is the meaning, what is the simple definition of democracy, then what are the key features of the democracy, that like the election, the rulers, the people and the forms of the government. Then we talked about all the powers are reset toward the particular leader, you can say the elected leader. Then we further talk about the one vote, one person, one value. Then we talk about the free and the fair election. Then we talk about the argument for the democracy and argument against the democracy. This all the things which we have learned in the previous four videos, like how it is important for the democratic form of the government, where you do not find each and every solution, but some of the solution you find it over there. You can't say the magical. Like we talk about the India, we are the completely democratic government. After the independence, still we are not irrigate the poverty from India. We talk about the other not democratic form of the government, like they are what the decision they take, that decision is final. None of the people can do the argument over there. If they want to change that non-democratic form of government, they can do the protest, they can do the revolution, they can do the reforms, they can do the certain kind of things, but a particular decision is taken by any of the ruler, they can't go against in that. If we talk about the democratic form of the government, if some of the rules or some of the decision which the people thought that is not for the people, it's not for the nation, they can complain over there, they can do the protest, they can file the petition against the government in the court. So these are the certain things which we can see in the democratic form of the government and not in the non-democratic form of the government. Now we go further. So broader meaning of the democracy means the wider meaning of the democracy. This is the last part of this, this is the last video of this chapter, where we can learn the broader meaning, the wider meaning of the democracy, because in the previous video we have learned the different meanings of the democracy of the different countries, just like the India, the Pakistan, the Zimbabwe, the Mexico, the USA, and some cartoons of the Canada and about the Iraq. So we have discussed so far like each country have their different scenario, their own political condition. Then the different peoples have their own way of dealing with their government. Like somewhere they used to like their government, and somewhere they do not like their government. So what they did, that they used to do the reform. So these are the certain things which we can say that what the peoples are feeling, what the peoples are doing in this form of the government. So now come to this the broader meaning of the democracy. The famous cartoonist, you have if you recall it, the class 8, that is the R.K. Lakshman. If you have if you have the idea, that is the last chapter in the class 8, that the R.K. Lakshman, where they used to make the cartoons and where you have to write the question and answer about it. So he is a famous cartoonist who made this cartoon, where he said that comments on the celebration of the 50 years of the independence. How many images on would you recognize? Do many common people feel they were the common man in the cartoon ideas? So they are unity, democracy, secularism and equality, industrial growth, economic progress, trade, foreign collaboration, means where the two foreign countries meet together for doing the business or the other kinds of stuff, export increase. We have the passenger cars, computer, mobile phones, pager, etc. Thus, this has been the spectacular progress, means the progress is in the very spectacular form, and how we are determined to remove the poverty, provide drinking water, shelter, food, school, and hospital. So, in like if we talk about according to this cartoon, after the independence, after the like 50 years, what are the remarkable progress we did? How many governments they came? What is the remarkable change they did? And to take our economy at the boost level, so they used to change in all the from the unity, democracy, secularism, equality, then industrial growth, economic progress, then trade, foreign collaboration, then the export increase, then take towards the passenger cars, computer, mobile phones, and the pager. Thus, there has been the spectacular progress. Then we talk about the now we are the detrimental. Then we talk about to remove the poverty, that means to remove the poverty or eradicate the poverty from the India. So there are the remarkable progress which done by the different ruling parties at the different period of time after the independence. So we have did the remarkable progress in our country. Now come towards the broader meaning of the democracy. In the meaning of the democracy is limited and descriptive sense. मतलब उस जो democracy का meaning है वो क्या है, limited है और descriptive है. We have understand the democracy as a form of government. The way the defining democracy help us to identify the clear set of minimum features that the democracy must have. The most common form that the democracy takes in our times is that of a representative democracy. Means a country is where like we are casting the vote, we used to elect our own representative. That particular representative take the collective decision for the nation and for the people. You have already read in the previous classes that in the countries we call democracy, all the people do not rule. Yes, all the people do not rule. A majority is allowed to take the decision on the behalf of all the people. Yes, with the leader which we have choose, the representative which we have choose, when he used to win the election or when he used to win the election, collectively he used to take the decision for all the people. Not all the people used to take the decision. The majority of people who through their elected representative, this become necessary because modern democracy involves such a large number of people. Yes, in the democracy we used to involve large number of people that it is the physically impossible for them to sit together and take a collective decision. Yes, that is true that if we talk about India, where we have the 133 crore population, if they used to sit collectively at a particular place and they used to take the decision, so it used to take lots of time, it's a waste of time, and we can't and we can't if we talk about the particular day, can we listen all this thing? No, we can't listen to all this thing at a particular place at a particular point of time. So like for that there is the election, we used to elect our own representative on the behalf of the people because they have the idea what the people's want. So they used to take the collective decision. If they could, the citizen does not have the time, the desire of the kids to take the part in all the decision. Yes, there are some people who do not take to part in the decision and they do not want to give their preference, their idea in the particular decision. They want to leave apart from the politics, apart from the society, apart from the second. They want to live in their own scenario. Means वो अपने ही scenario में रहना चाहते हैं, ना तो वो political decision में कुछ part लेना चाहते हैं, ना कोई society point of view में कोई decision लेना चाहते हैं, ना वो कोई अपना point of view पेश करना चाहते हैं. This gave us the clear with but the minimal understanding of democracy. This clarity helps us to distinguish democracy from non-democracy, but it does not allow us to distinguish between the democracy and the good democracy. Yes, we can get the clarity between the democracy and the not democracy, but हम इसमें ये नहीं कह सकते कौन सा अच्छा democracy है कौन सा बेकार democracy. Yes, we can differentiate or we can disparity between the democratic country and the non-democratic country, but we can't say it the which country is very good in democracy or which are very bad in democracy. It does not. Allow us to see the operation of the democracy beyond the government. For this, we need to turn the broader meaning of the democracy. Sometimes the democracy for the organization other than the government just read this statement. They give the statements that we are the very democratic family. Whenever a decision has to be taken, we are all sit down and arrive at the consensus. My opinion matters as much as my father's. It means here if we sit down and we have to give a consensus, if we have to give our ideas, so collectively they can take the decisions. Just like if we talk about in the family, the most of the collective decisions taken by the father. I don't like the teachers who do not allow the student to speak and ask the question in the class. I would like to have the teacher with the democratic temperament. That is also correct. Like there some of the teachers are there where they do not like that the student used to ask them the question, but they make this they make the certain kind of scenario that the student can ask the question. Then the third statement is that one leader and his family members decide everything in this party, how they talk of democracy because they have the family members decide everything in this party. Like in the particular party, all the family was there. So how we can say that there is a democracy? Like if we talk about, there is one party in India, if that name is the Samajwadi Party, where you find a number of the family members and the relatives in that particular party. So you can say that all the family members in that particular party, you can't see the democracy over there, because you have to allow each and every individual, those who are capable, or you can say those who have the capacity to become the leader, so allow them, that particular people, that you can become the leader, you can contest the election, and you can win the election, then you can take the collective decision for the nation and for the people. The ways using the word democracy go back to its basic sense of the method of taking decision. A democratic decision involves the consent of all those who are affected by the decision. Those who are not powerful have the same say to take the decision as those who are the powerful. और इसमें ये क्या चीज है, जिसके पास पावर है वो डिसीजन ले सकता है, जिसके पास पावर नहीं है वो डिसीजन तो नहीं ले सकता, पर अपने व्यूज दे सकता है, जिससे कि जो रूलिंग गवर्नमेंट है उसको हेल्प हो सके कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए अपने देश के लिए और क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. दिस कैन अप्लाई टू द गवर्नमेंट और अ फैमिली or any other organization. It apply to everybody, whether it's government, whether it's family, or whether any other organization. Thus, the democracy is also the principle that can be applied to any sphere of life. It used to happen in any sphere of life. Sometimes we use the word democracy not to describe any existing government, but to set up the ideal standard that all the democracy must aim to become. So these are the certain which we discussed the downside. True democracy will come to this country only when no one goes hungry to the bed. Yes, somehow it is correct. The true democracy will come when there is none of the poor people in this country, and none of the person can go on the bed to the hungry. So we can say that all the people should have 2 meals a day, and the particular person or the particular family can't go on the bed with the hungry or with the starvation. They have to at least 2 meals a day. मतलब कोई भी इंसान भूखा ना जाए रात को सोने के लिए. एटलीस्ट हमारे, अगर हम ट्रू डेमोक्रेसी माने तभी मानेंगे जब कोई भी इंसान भूखा सोने के लिए रात को नहीं जाएगा. ईच एंड एवरीबडी हैविंग the 2 meals a day. In a democracy, every citizen must be able to play equal role in the decision making. Somehow it is difficult because all the people can't, if like we talk about the India where there is a 133 crore population, we can't take the decision of each and every individual. Yes, majority we can take it, we can took the decision of the people, but like people can participate because in the digital era, by the Twitter, by the Facebook, by the Instagram, and by the WhatsApp, by the Telegram, you can share your views. On the basis of that, the people or the government, they can get the idea what the people's want. On the basis of that, they can take the decision. So, like this is the kind of the, you can say, the people participation where the government can take the your views and they will. Make that decision. For this, you don't need to just an equal right to vote. Every citizen need to have the equal information, basic education, equal resources, and a lot of commitment. So these are the certain things which we have to take this. If we take to this idea seriously, then no country in the world is a democracy. Yes, that is a true that if we take any ideal, you can say the ideal democracy, so we don't find in none of the country to be say the very good democracy or the ideal democracy. Yet an understanding of democracy as an ideal remind us of why we value the democracy. It enables us to judge an exacting democracy and identify its weakness. It helps us to distinguish between the minimal democracy or the good democracy. We can discuss that what is the minimal democracy or the good democracy. In this book, you do not deal much with the expanded notion of democracy. A focus here with the some core institutional features of democracy. A focus here with the some core of institutional features means the features which you can discuss in the educational field or the democracy form of the government. Now the other form of the things you are going to read in the chapter 3, 4 and 5. Now we go further. Thus also means that no country is the perfect democracy. That is true that the no country in this world is the perfect democracy. The feature of the democracy that we discuss in this chapter provide only the minimum condition of the democracy. The minimum condition they provide that does not make an ideal democracy. Every democracy has to try to realize the ideal of the democratic decision making. This cannot be achieved once for all. This requires the constant effort to save and strengthen the डेमोक्रेटिक फॉर्म, यस इट इज अटमोस्ट ट्रू, यानी कांस्टेंट हमें एफर्ट लेने पड़ेंगे, हमें डिसीजंस करने पड़ेंगे कि गवर्नमेंट अकेले सब कुछ नहीं कर सकती, जो पीपल है, दोज आर द पीपल, दे हैव टू कम कॉन्स्टेंटली एंड दे हैव टू गिव देयर व्यूज, they have to give their preferences, they have to give their ideas by which we can help the government that they can take the decisions. So it requires a constant effort to save and strengthen the democratic form of the decision making. What we do as the citizen can make a difference to make our country more or less democratic. Means हमें ऐसे कुछ डिसीजन लेना चाहिए कि सिर्फ अकेले गवर्नमेंट सारे काम नहीं कर सकते, हमें भी कुछ करना चाहिए और गवर्नमेंट को भी करना चाहिए. द वीकनेस ऑफ द डेमोक्रेसी इज the effect of the country depends not just on the what the rulers do, it's not depend on what the rulers do, but mainly on the what we as the citizens do. This is what the district democracy, the other government, other forms of government like monarchy, dictatorship or the one party rule do not require all the citizens to take the party in the politics. So like we have discussed how the non form of democratic countries are, like those who are in the monarchy, those who are in the dictatorship, or you can say the one party rule. In fact, the most democratic government would like the citizen not to take part in the politics. There are some countries where they do not allow the other people to take part in the politics, but the democracy depends on the active political participation by all the citizens. This is why the study of democracy must focus on the democratic politics. So far in this chapter, we have learned first what is the democracy, its simple meaning, then its detailed meaning, why there is a need of the democracy. Different countries have their different political agendas. Some are the democratic countries, some are the non-democratic country. We discuss about there are the countries such as Pakistan, Mexico, USA, then the Zimbabwe, then the Poland, and the other countries which we have discussed. They in this country they have the, you can say, the democratic government, but they are ruling like the dictatorship, or they are ruling like the monarchy, where the people can't say against their government. So they used to do the protest in the front of the government. They used to change the government that we have saw. Then we come towards the why there is a need of a government that we have discussed so far. Then we come towards the what is the key features of the democracy, that is the ruler, the election, the people, and the forms of the government. The further we have discussed the argument for the democracy and the argument against the democracy, in which we come to know that the number of the things which are going to happen in the democracy, like the democracy, it's not a magical solution, but there are the number of the solution in the democracy rather than the non-form, or like you can say the non-democratic countries or non-democratic form of the governments. And later we further come on with, and we come to know about the broader meaning of the democracy, where we come to know that we can't discriminate between the, or you can say we can't disparity or the difference between the ideal democracy or the good democracy. We come to know that which are the democratic countries, which are the non-democratic countries, or in the other words, you can say the democratic government or non democratic governments. We can differentiate it between them, like the democratic country which they take the good decision, and don't democratic country they are not taking the good decision, because the if they in the democratic country, the decision which taken by the government, by the ruling government, they used to take the collective decision by thinking of the people, by the nation, by consulting the number of the people, or what are the these things, or what are the plans, the scheme, or you can say the initiative which is taken by the government, it is in the correct form, not in the bad form. And then if we turn to go about the non democratic form of the government, the particular decision is taken by the king or any dictatorship, or the one party. So none of the people have the right to, you can say, go against that particular decision. So for that, they, so after the number of years, but they thought that like now we can't bear this particular party or that particular dictatorship, so they go for the protest. So these are the certain which we have discussed. Then we have discussed about the classroom scenario, where the each and every student discuss about that. They used to give their own views, their own desire, or you can say their own ideas, like what kind of democratic country should be. Someone said that we need only one people who is having all the power. Somebody said we need an honest and a sincere representative which can take the nation to the in foremost the level. Then if you recall the RK cartoon, the RK cartoonist who made the cartoon, which we saw that we are celebrating the 50 years of the independence, where it show how we take the remarkable progress toward the country in the terms of the economy, in terms of the society, in terms of the education, in terms of the electricity. If we talk about the foreign collaboration, if we talk about the mobiles, if we talk about the television, if we talk about the technologies, if we talk about the internet, there are the number of the things which we have make the remarkable progress over the in the 50 years, that earlier we are like the underdeveloped, so you can say the developing underdeveloped nation, then we become the developing, now we're going towards the developing nation. So there are like every economist, you can say every politician, every sociologist or different people, you can say they have the different perspective, they have the really different ideas, when they said that like this particular like India is going to boom in this particular years in the economy, or if we can do the political scenario, and if we talk about in the defense sector. So these are the different perspective which we have discussed, that the democratic country is the good form of the country, it's a good way of the country, where we think about the people, that the people have the right to cast their vote to elect their own representative, which if the representative or the leader is good, he is to take the collective decision for the people, for the nation, to make a nation at the developed stage. So this all the things which so far we have discussed. I hope you like this video. Thank you.